If you are still styling your website inside HTML, stop. Today, I will show you the real method pro developers use, external CSS. This is the upgrade your code has been waiting for. Hey everyone, welcome to today's class. In today's class, we are going to look into external CSS. In our last class or previous classes, we've started HTML styles, CSS, which means cascading style sheets, right? Which is used to beautify our website, make it more enhance the user interface and user experience, right? So we're going to dive into it deeper. In our last class we did internal CSS, where it's the type of CSS whereby style here function as as an element, right, and always use in the head section, right? If you haven't seen that video, please go back and watch it. And if you are coming across our page for the first time, you're welcome to Code with Chris. This channel or page is dedicated in teaching web development from scratch for free. So whether you're a total beginner or someone looking to sharpen your skills in web development, this channel is the right channel for you. I urge you to subscribe to this channel, turn on your notification bell so that you'll be the first to be notified whenever new video drops. And also don't forget to follow us across other platforms like Facebook and TikTok at the same handle, Code with Chris. I promise you this channel is going to be very invaluable to you. You will learn a lot, and the emphasis of learning a skill, especially tech skills, cannot be overemphasized. So if you haven't placed your hand in one skill, web development is the right skill to start. In future you can upscale and all of that, but web development is a right and a very good skill to start with, right? So now, what is external CSS? External CSS is a way of styling your website by writing your CSS in a separate .css file and linking that file to your HTML using the link element or tag inside the head section. It is in fact the neatest, most professional and most scalable method of applying CSS in web development. Most beginners, they skip this part. Most beginners, they just use internal CSS or inline CSS, but this is actually the most unique and professional way of actually applying CSS, creating a CSS file, a separate CSS file, which is going to end with extension .css, and then you come and link it, right? It makes your code organized and all of that, right? So now we're going to get right to it, right? So now, the first thing we're going to do is that, from this class upward, we're going to be working with we're going to be dealing more with external CSS. So we're going to be creating a folder for our CSS, right? There are two ways you can do that. This icon here is folder, is to create a new folder, or you come to this empty space, you right click and you see new folder, so you click on new folder. So we're going to call it CSS, right? So enter. All right, so now inside this CSS folder, we're going to create our CSS file. All right, so let me call it style, or let me call it external, and now it must end with extension CSS. For HTML, it must end with extension HTML, so that it's going to recognize that this is a CSS file, or this is a an HTML file. If it's Python py, it's going to recognize that this is a Python, right? A Python file, right? So now HTML, external CSS.html .css. So also we are going to be creating our HTML, which is for the structure of our page. We are going to also call it external .html. So don't miss out on these dot extensions. All right, so now next thing to do is to bring out our boilerplate or HTML skeleton, all right, which you already know how to do that. And then first thing to do, okay, let me just change this title, CSS style. Now remember, when dealing with external CSS, first thing to do is to link. Without linking them, your style is not going to apply. in your document. So linking is very important using the link element or tag. So link element or tag, and it has these two important attribute known as what? Rel, which is for the style sheet, and then href, which is now the path. This attribute specifies the URL of the linked resource, right? A URL can be absolute or what? Relative. I've explained that in our previous videos. All right, so now to link it, remember we have this our CSS, we have a folder, right? And inside the folder we have a CSS. So now to do that, I'll first of all going to reference the folder, so CSS folder, and inside it we now have, if we have more than one folder, more than one files inside this CSS folder, is going to come out here. You just have to pick the right file, right? So I pick this. All right, so now I can begin to write my code. So I can have h1. Let's take for instance, I have h1, and then let's say I have welcome to my website. All right, so then I have let me have another element like p element that says this page is styled using an external CSS. All right, CSS file. So let me run this in my browser. If I go live, all right, so this is what I have. Okay, so now it's time to style, right? Remember, just like I said, internal CSS and external CSS is quite similar. The only difference is that for internal CSS here is functioning with a special element known as style, right, which is declared in the head section, and then what you have to do is to style it using the element name or a global attribute like class or ID, right? And also for external CSS, it's just the same thing, but the difference is that for external, it deals with a separate CSS file entirely, right? But the designing process, the calling process is the same thing. You can call it using the element name. You can call it using a global attribute like ID or class, right? So if I go to my CSS file, right? Okay, I can decide to style the body, right? So body, which is an element name, and this body is a container that has all content of our document, right? So body, let me give background color, a background. I can go with background or background color, whichever. All right, so let me use a color value. So hash f4 f4. All right, so this is what I have. Okay, if I want to increase the of the color, I can just hover here, and then okay, so let me go down a bit. Okay, so I have this, and then I can give it a font family. This is now general font family. So general font family. Okay, so let me give it sans serif. Sans serif. So we have this. Okay, so we have this. Then let me go back let me go with class name. So the h1, so let me give it a class name. So class, let me give it a class name of title, right? So title, and then go back to my CSS file. Now remember, for class title, which is title, right? So now I can give it a color. So color, let me go with color value. Let's say hash 256 or 2563 EB, right? So this should give us, light blue. All right, so let me, and then I can, let me, okay, sorry, typo. So let us spacing. Let me give it form. Let me change it to uppercase, right? Text transform, uppercase. All right, so if I go to my browser, let me refresh. All right, you have this. So let me center it. Be at the center. So text align. Text align center, and then maybe increase the font width. Let me increase it to 900. All right, so refresh my page. Okay, so it's taking time to load. All right, so I have this. All right, let me reduce this color value. That's right. All right, so just have to refresh. Okay, so this is better. Now next is the p element. Okay, so where is the file? Right, the p element. I can just go with the element name p. Right, so go back to my file and then p element. All right, so let me align it at the center. So text align, text align center. Okay, so what again should I give it? All right, so let me give it a separate font family. um, okay, so let me choose Times New Roman. All right, so down, um what again, okay, let me give it a font weight, okay, let me give it 600. So if I refresh, all right, so I have this. All right, so that is it for, basically introduction to external CSS. So in our next class, we're going to look into all the CSS properties, and we're going to be designing a lot of things, right? Making sure that we touch every CSS property, text transform, text decoration, padding, margin, and all of that. So anticipate, and if you are coming across our page for the first time, please like, comment, and share. Sharing is very important so that you get to other learners or other people who are aspiring to become a web developer. So thank you for watching. Bye.